Jamaica Magazine, more from the Education Ministry on back-to-school preparations.
We have gone above and beyond to make sure that we reorganize the resources internally to ensure that schools have enough funds to be able to take care of the operational costs.
An informative show unfolds right now. I'm Audrey Williams. Much more after the break.
The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information is committed to ensuring that every Jamaican child has the best learning environment to thrive and needs your cooperation to make the education system work successfully.
What are the school's voluntary contributions for?
Co-curricular and sports activities and school development.
What amount are parents to contribute?
Your contributions are voluntary and the amount depends on the type of programs being offered by the school.
If my child is being denied access to school, can I complain to the ministry?
Yes. You can call or visit any of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information's 6 regional offices or send an email to complaints@moey.gov.jm.
What support is there for PATH students?
PATH students are not expected to make contributions and are to be provided with 5 days free lunch as of this year.
Parents and guardians, do continue to make your voluntary financial contributions to your children's school. The institutions need your assistance for their school development and sporting activities. Remember, every child can learn. Every child must learn.
Recently, the JIS hosted an education panel discussion in which several matters were explained. Listen in.
A distinguished panel on this JIS Education Forum dealing with the issues that you want answers to. We have the Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Senator Honorable Ruel Reid, Chief Education Officer, Dr. Grace McLean, President of the National Parent Teachers Association, Everton Hanam, Principal of Spanish Town High School, Ventley Brown, and immediate past PTA President of the Jonathan Grant High School, Rosemary Headley Smith. And now we are going to touch the controversial matter of auxiliary fees, parent contributions, all the answers that you have wanted on this issue. But first, we hear what the people have to say.
When I feel good, carry some money, can buy something towards the children, them can sponsor them, make up buy something back to school, buy a book, pencil, and them something there.
It feel good, but me not sure.
Well, it's a good policy. At least more kids will get to go to school.
What I think he should have done is put a cost to it in the sense of a $5,000 or a $6,000 so that we kind of help to offset like the little stuff that the principal have to cover.
It seems to me that it's a little better than before. I think it will work if we as parents are dedicated enough to do that.
Well, I'm just saying let's hope it works.
Let's hope it works. That is certainly the desire of Jamaicans. I think that what that person said echoes both the desire and the anxiety that people have over this issue of non-mandatory auxiliary fees. Well, we have the panel to discuss this issue and to give you the answers. Minister, I have found among parents for whom this abolition of the fees should be of benefit. I have found that even though this is in their benefit, or is supposed to be, or is projected as being in their benefit, that they have anxiety over it. They are seriously concerned as to whether the schools will be underfunded as a result of the good intention of the government. But they feel that, the road to hell is paved with many good intentions. What assurance would you give, Minister, that if the schools don't collect these fees, the children will not get a substandard education because the people don't want their children to get a substandard education under the guise of free education.
Well, I'm happy to be here to answer all the questions and the concerns. And I want to assure parents that the design of the education system is such that there is no fear in terms of any impairment of quality. I want us to be very clear that the key part of the education system, which are the provision of teachers, are funded by the government. And people receive their emoluments on a regular basis, like persons from the civil service. What we have articulated in the policy is increasing the government's allocation for the operational part of school, which is paying utilities and resourcing labs and so on.
That has been increased?
That has been increased. We have moved the allocation overall for the sector from 2.6 billion to 5.3 billion.
In this financial year?
In this financial year. The minimum per capita for each school, and I'm saying is minimum because many other schools are getting more above the 19,000 per capita, but as a benchmark, every school will receive a minimum of $19,000 per capita for operations alone, which is separate from maintenance, from construction projects, from some of them we're about 30 schools we're going to do solar so they can come off the grid. But there's ICT support, and importantly, where the schools were understaffed and had to rely on parents to make contributions to pay those staff, we have now absorbed in our budget those costs. So those schools have gotten additional amounts to cover that. We have also moved into sixth form, where many schools hire part-time teachers for the sixth form program. We are funding that as well. And we have even allowed schools that have sixth form to continue to charge sixth form fees. So schools also have that stream of revenue. But I go further. Not only have we paid our commitment much earlier, but the cash flow that will take place will indeed insulate schools from having any major cash flow problem, because we not only pay the first tranche in June, but another tranche will be paid in September, second week of September, and we have one targeted for December, although we're likely to pay that earlier. And then normally schools have only had their last payment sometime March and so on, or April. So we are going to pay another tranche in April of next year, and then the new school year funding will start again from June next year, and so on. So in terms of cash flow, the average school is in a much better position. And remember, I mean, not all schools are the same, yes, and I know some of them, but when we did the research, we found 88% of our schools were having contributions just around $5,000. So when you look at what we have provided for schools, we could say safely 88% of those schools are in a much stronger position financially.
88%?
Yes, than have ever been before. Now, the traditional schools, I mean, they are traditional schools, and some of them have a higher budget by virtue of some
and you should know about those.
Yes,
schools.
I'm quite familiar.
Yes.
And we've been working with those, and what we have said is that the policy of the government is that while we are not saying that parents can make contributions, then those are non-mandatory. And for those schools also, we have made sure we have gone out of our way to ensure that those additional operating costs that they have established over time, our budgeting support covers that.
Well, that's important, Minister. You are saying that you have made provision for that?
Yes, we have made provision.
Where their budget is under strain.
Yes.
So a parent doesn't have to fear that because of your 19,000, which is not adequate.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Their budgetary issues are going to be dealt with.
Their budgetary issues are going to be dealt with for all the core services. And when you ask a question about quality educational environment and instruction, and we are making it very clear that every school has been targeted to ensure that they can deliver quality education. Now, the value added, which I want it to be clear, and we have ads running even through the JIS, that we're not opposed to co-curricular.
Yes.
We're not opposed to competitive sports, and we revel and celebrate with our Olympians and the great Usain Bolt. And of course, he passed through the school system. But the government is not there yet to fund entirely that segment. So what we have said is that in our analysis, a large part of what parents are now asked to contribute is really towards co-curricular and competitive sport. So therefore, we're saying to school, we can't support a policy that have a mandatory requirement for parents to contribute for those areas, as likable as they are. So I want the parents to understand that what we're saying largely, the contributions that you are asked to make are for those areas, and there's no impairment for the quality educational service that the school ought to deliver.
You're saying also, Minister, that for any particular school which has a challenge, a unique challenge, that school can make representation to the ministry.
Absolutely.
And the ministry can deal with the case.
Yeah, but that's what we do all the time.
So it's not a matter that you have a one-size-fits-all, and
yes.
they have to follow that.
Yes.
And this is edict.
Right.
If there's a special case, you can deal with that.
Absolutely.
So there should be no excuse in terms of children having to undergo a substandard education because of government policy.
No, absolutely not. And by the way, that ought to have been the case, because although it has been dealt with in the breach more or less, that the ministry is aware that every school is unique, different in size and operating costs.
Ministry is cognizant of that.
Very much cognizant of that. And what ought to have been happening is that each year, budgets ought to have been submitted to the ministry for approval. And indeed, let us be also very clear that the law says that any charges or requests for financing for schools ought to be approved by the minister. So we can't have...
the law says that?
That's what the Education Act provides. So what has been happening, and where we have some issues, is that schools have literally been operating in breach of those guidelines. And what we're trying to move now with a new committee we are developing to look at school budget and the areas that are going to be approved for expenditure, right? Because when we look at school operation, there are areas of expenditure that we'll have to standardize so that you don't have school burdening parents for areas of expenses that the ministry itself has not approved. Now, if the PTA wants to take that on and raise funds to fund some areas, we don't have a problem with that. But remember now, we have to have policy that are geared to ensure that no parent is going to be worse off, that the children's interests are protected. And that is what the government is seeking to do. We are not underfunding school, but we are managing a way that delivers quality education, ensure that there are no child that is denied access to education, right, while still allowing for the goodwill of our parents and our stakeholders to continue to contribute for the overall and further development of that particular school or general education sector.
Chief Education Officer, your contribution on this matter.
So I just want to emphasize that outside of the per capita amount, which is what schools have been accustomed to getting year after year, we are providing increased amounts in other areas that will benefit the school.
Tell us about
Minister, for example, spoke about part-time teachers or temporary teachers. This is an area that schools have complained about over the years because they have unique programs. We are allocating almost 300 million this year that they will now be able to use to engage teachers on a temporary basis, on a part-time basis, depending on their need. Now, this information actually came in on the revised budgets that the schools were asked to submit in June. So at the end of June, we reviewed the budgets that they sent in. We looked at the areas that spoke to additional resources, and the ministry took steps to provide the additional resources. So equipment for labs, for their science labs, equipment for their technical and vocational areas. All of those areas we are now actively procuring in some cases and are providing funds to the school. Some would have gotten the funds already, so they are able to take care of these areas.
Pardon me, so parents need not worry that because the auxiliary fees are abolished,
Indeed.
that the labs are now going to be in a state of disrepair.
Exactly.
They're in a better position than ever been before.
And the window is open for a school that may have issues during the school year to say to their ministry that this is a challenge that we are having. Produce your income and expenditure statement, and we, as we have said and are committed to do, we will provide the additional support that is required. So there are really no hindrances at this time that our parents need to be fearful of, because we have gone above and beyond to make sure that we reorganize the resources internally to ensure that schools have enough funds to be able to take care of the operational costs to ensure quality education is provided for our children.
I just want to, before you bring in the PTA, National PTA President, and segue to him as well, because I want the parents also to understand that we want to develop the partnership. So it's not that we are at war with our principals and our boards, but we are serving a key stakeholders, our parents, and they have their children as their interest within the schools. We are saying to the parents equally, they must be an effective partner. They sit on the school board, they must be aware of the school's financing and the finances. They need to know the budget and what are the requirements. So if parents are very involved in the life of the school, then they will have an issue, because they will know what are the strategies, they will know what are the program and the area in which they may need to contribute. So we are asking the parents to get involved in what's happening in your school. And so when the government articulates a policy, you can better appreciate what is it that the government is trying to do for you.
I remember when I didn't like school and Mommy used to have to wake me up.
Tabla, hurry up. You're going to be late for school.
Hey, now that I have a tablet, you don't need to wake me up. Since Mommy and Daddy bought me a tablet, I use my tablet for all kinds of cool stuff. I use my tablet to read books. I use my tablet to learn about history and science. I use my tablet to help with my homework. I even use it to talk to my daddy at work. Hello, Daddy!
Learning is easy and fun with a tablet. Take care of your tablet, use it wisely.
Well, I dare to make a difference, and I dare to take a stand. Let me dare to think of someone else who's in need of a helping hand.
The Office of the Children's Advocate is very aware that we have some parents who get particularly anxious at the start of a new school year. And so we really just wanted to share with you a few tips that you can utilize to help keep your children, especially the very young ones who are going out for the first time, nice and safe from sexual abuse. Parents need to recognize that the private parts, as we call them, or the genitalia, are regular parts of the body. And so in teaching your children about the forehead and the nose and the hand, you can also teach them the names of these body parts, because that does two things. It puts them in a position to speak about these parts when something is going wrong, and it also tells them that even though they are private parts, it's not too private to talk about, particularly with a parent. Children need to know that there should be no secrets between them and their parents or guardians. Oftentimes, when persons want to abuse children, they tend to encourage them to keep a little secret. You know, this is between me and you. But from very early, parents need to establish with their children that the lines of communication are open. Mommy and daddy, or auntie and uncle, or whoever is the responsible adult in that child's life, can actually have a discussion, age appropriate of course, about anything at all that may be troubling the child. The third tip is that parents need to cultivate throughout the child's lifespan that environment whereby the child feels comfortable to speak. Conversation should not be off limit, topics should not be taboo, and you really need to get to a stage whereby you have teachable moments, we call them. So we see a lot of things reported in the newspapers, sometimes on the nightly news, and we can use some of these instances of horrible things that are happening to other children to start little discussions with our own children to give them tips as to how they can avoid or prevent, perhaps completely, any such reality happening to them. For these tips, and of course any other information that deals with children, that is anyone under 18 years, please feel free to contact the Office of the Children's Advocate. We're at 72 Harbour Street, downtown Kingston, and our numbers are 948-1134 or website www.oca.gov.jm.
Well, I dare to make a difference, and I dare to take a stand. Let me dare to think of someone else who's in need of a helping hand.
Urgent focus is being placed on the issue of land ownership and the use of reclaimed lands for agriculture within mining communities. Numerous families are achieving financial independence through agricultural productions on mined-out lands. See how one community is achieving success.
Bauxite mining is a profitable venture for Jamaica and other countries, but the effect on the land can be rough. Locally, steps are being taken to restore mined-out lands to productive and profitable use. The mining communities of Wat Town and Tobolski in Water Valley St. Anne are shining examples of the possibilities. Scores of farmers there have been benefiting from water harvesting and greenhouse technology, allowing them to earn from the land.
I feel very good, and especially when we are reaping.
Yeah, feel good about it and thing, you know.
The citizens who have formed themselves into groups are setting the trend for other communities to follow. Communities like those that will benefit when Transport and Mining Minister Mike Henry fast-tracks the transfer of ownership of mined lands to citizens for housing, agriculture and other purposes.
I'm going to see how much I can step in to work very closely to ensure the handing over back of land, the handing over back of titles, and how that can relate to increasing the agricultural output in relation to it.
That policy is encouraged by the level of agricultural production at Wat Town and Tobolski.
The people who are buying are happy with the product, because the reliability is so important.
The farmers have been supplying the hotel and supermarket retail sectors and are overjoyed at what they have been able to achieve on mined lands which were previously idle.
This is an opportunity for all of us here in this community, because we have never seen anything like this before. We produce tomato and sweet pepper, and we are doing well.
When you compare it with outdoor farming, this is actually a lot more than outside. Most of the young people want to come in now, so we would like some more rows to put up.
Mining pits on the properties have been transformed into rainwater harvesting ponds, which provide a reliable supply of water for the plants in the greenhouses. Over 8,000 kilograms of produce were supplied in the first 4 months of the project at Wat Town.
I want to tell you that we have 20 farmers that is benefit from this greenhouse. 20 farmers. And right now we are having a lot of tomato and sale. For now we have at least almost 17,000 pounds of tomato supplied. Well, the pepper, as you see it, we have order for the pepper, but it's only ripe pepper they are taking now.
Similar initiatives are also established at other communities affected by bauxite mining, including Schwallenberg and 9 Miles in St. Anne, Content, Blue Mountain and Rose Hill, Manchester, and Myersville in St. Elizabeth. They have all been supported financially and technically at an overall project cost of $243 million through the Jamaica Social Investment Fund's Rural Economic Development Initiative at the Jamaica Bauxite Institute.
I am very pleased to see that even though farmlands have been used for bauxite mining, a way out has been provided for the farmers.
Beneficiaries of restored bauxite lands are encouraged to make the best productive use of their properties. And with major developments in transportation on the horizon, the Transport and Mining Minister says farming on these lands will get more lucrative with easier access to rail, road, and air cargo transportation.
So what I want you to appreciate is the vision that I'm seeking to bring in the connectivity of farming, transport, and reaching there.
Supporting sustainable development of communities on lands which have been mined, promoting self-sustainability and integrating mined-out areas in national development.
On our roads, remember, take time, be courteous, drive good, walk good. Part of keeping our roads safe is ensuring the vehicles we drive are mechanically safe, meeting all roadworthy requirements. And besides that, we must be good drivers and avoid risk-taking and sensation-seeking behaviors which are prone to causing road crashes.
70% of the Jamaican workforce is uncertified, so says statistics from the Jamaica Vision 2030 Training Sector Plan. Therefore, employers and workers, you are being encouraged to make use of the Workplace Intervention Program provided by the Jamaican Foundation for Lifelong Learning, JFLL. The JFLL has crafted a special high school diploma program for workers. The program has 3 levels. The basic level covers grades 1 to 6, the intermediate level from 7 to 9, and the proficiency level covers grades 10 to 11. Now employees can get cutting-edge knowledge and get a competitive advantage to compete globally. Workers, get certified and make use of job opportunities to improve your life.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Here's your motivation tip for the week. Accept the challenges so that you can feel the exhilaration of victory. We've come to the end of Jamaica Magazine for this Sunday. Thanks for spending time with us. For more information on farming on mined-out lands, please visit our website, jis.gov.jm. To watch this program again, click on our YouTube channel. You may also check out our social media platforms. I'm Audrey Williams. Have a great day.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.